these edges, or even marquee select some vertices here, it will select directly through the object to anything that was on the other side of the object, but within my marquee. So if I marquee select these edges, it will still select this back edge. But what if I don't want to do that? Well, turn on ignore back facing, and then you can marquee select something, and anything that is eclipsed by the model, anything that's on the back side of that model, will not be selected. So ignore back facing is very useful. I tend to use it a lot, toggle it on and off. So it could be useful to set up a hotkey for that as well. So that's edge selection. Then we have ring selection or border selection. Border selection only works if you have a border. So say I delete a face on the model. Hold on. I'm going to turn off backface call here. Say I delete a face. Now I have a border around this hole. So I can use border selection to just quickly grab that border and select it. So I don't tend to use border selection very often, but it comes in handy sometimes if you have holes and you want to try to fill them or things like that. Then you have face selection mode, or polygon selection mode. That one is very useful. Right now I have it turned on so that when you select a polygon, it actually only shows the edges adjacent to the polygon that you have selected. You can turn on having the entire polygons being shown by hitting F2. If you hit F2 now, when you select a polygon, it will highlight the entire polygon in red. If you hit F2 again, then it will just show you the edges adjacent to the polygon that you have selected. So that's polygon selection. And then we have select by element, which is the last one to the right. Selecting by element will select an entire sub-element of an object. So later on, if you start having multiple pieces to an object, then you can select the elements individually. For instance, say I had another box over here, but that box is still part of the same object. You know, if I get out of Edit Poly here and I click on my object and I move them, they move together. They're still all part of this test object. But if I go into element selection mode, I can select each of them separately by element. Now, the last thing that I want to show you about selections is a really, really awesome tool which tends to speed up your workflow immensely when you get used to modeling in this way, or rather selecting in this way. What you can do is I can actually, using 3DsMax, I can use polygons to select edges, or polygons to select vertices, or edges to select polygons, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So, first of all, I'm just going to grab this polygon on the top of the box. Now, by holding Control and changing your selection mode, you will automatically select the sub-element that you changed to, which is adjacent to your selection. That sounds weird right now, but I'll show it to you in practice. So I have my polygon selected. I hit Control, and then I go to Vertex Selection mode. Now those 4 vertices are selected. If I went back to Polygon, my polygon would still be selected. Say I hold Control, and I go to Edge mode. Now those edges adjacent to the face are selected. Likewise, if I choose an edge, and I go to Face mode, now the faces that are adjacent to that edge are selected. And then I go back to Vertex mode. Now I have all of those vertices selected. Once again, you have to be holding Control for that to work. If you just go Face mode, select a face, and then go to Vertex mode, it will not remember your selection. But if you hold Control and go to Vertex mode, your vertices will remain selected. And you can tell because they're highlighted in red. So that's a very, very, very useful function when it comes to optimizing your workflow. One last thing that you can do here is you can also grow your selection. I'm just going to run a quick little operation for demonstration purposes. I'll show you how to do this later. So in order to grow a selection, let me do that one more time. Okay. So you can select a face or vertices, doesn't matter. Excuse me. I'm just going to drink some water here. Okay. So you select a face, and then you just hit grow, and it will automatically select adjacent polygons to that face. Hit shrink and it goes backwards again. Same goes for edges, and same goes for vertices. So that's grow and shrink. Now I'm going to show you another very important function, which is the ring and loop tools. Now these tools only exist under edge mode, but they're extremely useful for adding topology to your model. So basically, a ring are contiguous edges that flow parallel to one another around a model. So if you hit the ring button, you will automatically see that by selecting one edge and hitting ring, it selected all of the contiguous parallel edges around that box. Now, in order to show you loop mode, I have to try to do another function. So once again, I'm going to hit edge, then hit ring, and then now I'm going to use another very, very useful tool under the Edit Poly Object mode, which is over here under Edit Edges, and it's called Connect. So what Connect does, if you hit this little box, the Connect settings, is it will connect your selection of edges. It will run another edge between them, connecting them together. Now, under Connect Edges dialog box, you have some options. You can choose how many segments you want to use to connect it. So you can up that to 2, 3, 4, or 5. You can choose pinch, which will either push them outwards or pull them inwards. Those of you who are familiar with subdivision modeling will be able to immediately see the usefulness of this option. And then you can do slide. So you can either slide them, say you had one edge, you could just slide it over to one end or to the other end. Or you could just zero it out in the center. So that is the Connect tool. And now I'm going to show you the Loop tool. Loop tool allows you to select an edge loop, which is one single edge that flows continuously around a model. So if you select one edge and then you hit loop, that will automatically select around the entire edge loop around the object. And then you can take it and you can, translate it along. You can move it up or down, or you can take it and scale it inwards, and do whatever you like with it. So that also brings up another important point, which is all those manipulator tools that I showed you previously, they all work on individual elements as well. So you can scale edges, or you can translate individual edges, or vertices, and so on and so forth. So you can already begin to see the immense amount of various different possibilities that are available to you with using this Edit Poly mode. So moving on, because this video is going to end up running on for too long if I talk too much about each thing. So some other important tools. I'll start with the polygon tools primarily. So let's look over here under Edit Polygons to the right. Oh, and by default, Max's sidebar here is set up like this, but I like to expand it somewhat. So I can drag it out once, or even twice by just grabbing and dragging it over. And then we can get more of these menus on one window at a time. So let's look at Edit Polygons, since we've already looked at selection. So, pardon me there, open up Edit Polygons. And so the first one that I'm going to want to look at is Extrude. Those of you who have used Maya or used other 3D applications will already know what Extrude does. It's your standard, almost your most commonly used modeling tool. I always use the dialog box. I never just hit the button. I always hit the settings box to the right there. So as you can see right away, you can extrude your polygon outwards or inwards based on the extrusion height setting that I'm editing here. You can also extrude by group, by local normal, or by polygon. Now, that doesn't show you anything with just one polygon selected. But say I select all 4 of these or 5 of these polygons, and I hit extrude again. Now you can immediately see the effect. By extruding by polygon, it extrudes each polygon individually as its own separate extrusion based on its local normal. If I say extrude by local normal, it will extrude all 5 of them, but it will extrude them based on their local normals as a single object. If I hit group, then it will extrude everything together as a single group of polygons, but following the average local normal of all of them. So once again, that's extrude by local normal, that's extrude by polygon, and that's extrude by group. So just say OK. And then, after you're done extruding, you can scale it outwards or scale it inwards, or do whatever you like with it. So I'll just scale it in for some fun there. Moving on, the next one that I'm going to want to show you is bevel. Bevel is like extrude, except that you have your height, but you also have your outline amount. So basically, it's like an extrude with the scale built into it, which is kind of nice. It just, gives you a little more fine-tune when you do your extrusion. You don't have to extrude first and then scale later. So that's bevel. And then we have outline. Now outline is basically the same function as the second slider of the bevel amount. So basically you have extrude, outline, and then bevel is extrude and outline put together into one tool. Moving on, we have inset. Now inset is a tool that I like very much. Actually, I'm going to put another loop through here. So I went to edge mode, I hit an edge, and I hit ring to select the entire ring